Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do a reading. I wanted to commune now that we're on the other side of the solstice. And so for a long time, I've been hearing, probably many of us have been hearing that the summer solstice 2026, after we got through the other side of that, everything was going to be different. And when I heard that, it was kind of like, oh, well, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder how it's going to feel, and also taking everything with a grain of salt because you hear all kinds of dates and some things land and some things don't. But now that we're on the other side, it's like, holy shit, everything is so different, and yet it's different in such a subtle yet loud way. It's like the quality of energy is different. So today is one of those days where I have a lot to say, and I'm just trusting that it's all going to come out in the right way, in its own timing and in its own way. And so and just feeling into this a little bit, there's so much to say. There's so much that's been unpacking for me in this energy. So let me just feel into how I want to start. So one of the things that I was picking up on in that last reading, if you saw it, was this sort of clearing or clearing of the darkness around the children and around some of the atrocities that have been going on in relation to children and the innocence. And so I was tracking this by observing my own children who are now young adults, and the healing and the awakening and the mind-blowing shedding that they're doing right now, particularly through, and I was talking about this last time, but particularly through the 6-6 portal, where all of us have up-leveled. So wherever you were a month ago, you're in a higher platform than you were then. And for some of us, the leap is really, really loud and obvious. For other people, it might, you might just be like, gosh, I'm not responding the way that I normally do. I'm not reacting, I'm responding, or just feeling this loosening in your neural pathways where things are just easier, like you're able to figure things out quicker, it can be playing out in all these big and small ways. Okay, so there was that thing around the children. So one of the things that and the other thing that was happening that I was talking about 2 readings ago, a lot of us were having this really, really intense body pain, or maybe it was emotional pain or mental anguish or something. For me, it was showing up in the physical, and maybe that's how it was for most of us. This intense pain and physical discomfort that felt different than any other time, especially if you're feeling things in your body, then you're a collective embodier. You're going through the changes, the new earth template changes within your body as a fractal of the earth, right? So you're journeying with her, you're part of, as she moves, you move. As you move, she moves. That union with the consciousness of the earth, right? So a lot of us that relate to these readings are gonna fall in that category. Okay, so this huge pain in the body that was happening right before, during, and after that 6-6 portal. So around I forget when it was that I felt it shift. I think it was around the 15th that it finally shifted for me, and I posted about that on Facebook, and there were so many people that were relating to that post. And so anyway, but that compression and that sort of to me, what it felt like, the quality of energy, and of course I do energy work, so I'm able to detect information in the quality of energy just from how it feels, because I'm doing this a really long time, right? So within myself, I could tell that it was something very, very ancient that was ready to move. And so now that I'm on the other side of all this, I can track back a little bit further and get a little bit more to the story. At that point, all I knew that there was something ancient and deep that I couldn't get to before that was ready to move, that it was almost like clawing at the channel, and there was all this psychic attack and, the goblins at the gate and the minions and everything that I was talking about two readings ago. And so it was all I knew was that something really deep was moving. Well, that next reading, after everything had moved for me physically, then I was honing in on this. It was because I've been like this in the readings. If you've been watching me, like a year and a half ago, it was there's something with Orion. There's something with Orion, and then all the pieces came in, and then after that, it was Tiamat. What's going on with that kind of thing, right? So the thing for me right now has been the children and this sort of ancient, dark, trauma trapping system type of energy starting to unpack for me now. Okay, so I was sniffing that out. And then what's happened, it actually started before during that portal, when I was in this deep compression, and I had said to so now again, on the other side, being able to be like, oh, okay, that's what that was. That was what that was. So I'm going to share all of this. I know it's personal information, but it's my personal expression of the collective energies that we've been in. So as you listen to my story and you receive the transmissions and the codes in that, it's going to be of the energy that you were experiencing as well, just in your own way. Okay, so we're talking about the energy, but we're talking about it through story and personal experience because there's more transmissions in that. Okay, that's how I'm always guided to do it, right? Okay, so yeah, so it was during that compression, and I said to my daughter, let's do a trade, because she knows how to do the energy work that in the way that I do it. She has her own spin, of course, this is coming through her own channel, but she can do it as well, and it's been a beautiful process to like hold space for her. The first time I was like, do a session on me, she's like, I don't know how. I'm like, yes, you do. Just trust yourself, So watching her kind of decipher and translate the energy, and I can tell what she's picking up on, so I can, kind of like validate and confirm, or be like, oh, it's like this. And she'll be like, yeah, and like finding her own language and all that. It's been really, really fun and wonderful, because then I get to have some help in the way that that my energy likes to move and translate and communicate to me. So anyway, so we did this trade, because I was really in that compression. I was like, I need some help, and she's the only one I know that can really move stuff in the way that my body likes to move it. Okay. So anyway, when I was with her, when I was doing her session, what I saw, and this is all making sense to me now. So again, that was before anything moved, before I honed in on the children, before everybody up leveled, right, and shifted. It was part of the shift and how it was playing out. And what I saw, and I wasn't able to really track or decode very well, because I was in such an alchemy myself. I was just sort of given to her so I could get something. So that was the energy right then. Like, I'll do this for you, you do this for me. But what I saw was really, really, really profound. Okay. And so it was in her heart center, and it wasn't just a diamond, because I'll see diamonds representing people's light body, and that I usually see way up high in the far arms width away from the body, kind of down near the lower body, the root, and just that's where I always see it. This was different. It was literally like showing as a diamond heart. So it was this multi-faceted diamond, but the energy of it was so amazing. Like, I got so altered from this session. It was as if we were in unity with all that is. And so every facet of the diamond held a different aspect of all that is. It was like looking at humanity plus it was looking at all that is all at once, but also feeling the individuation of each thing. It was so amazing. This has been happening. I haven't been doing many sessions because I've been going through this. They're starting again. I'm out now. I'm back. So if you would like to work together through energy work, if you would like to establish, a relationship in that way, and work together, I am scheduling again. I have a bunch more coming up. But for a while there, for a few weeks, I was doing very, very little. But the sessions that I was having were having some quality of this. It's like they've up-leveled. We've up-leveled. I've up-leveled. The energy's up-leveled. The sessions have up-leveled. And so, but this was the first one, right? During that portal with that compression, where I saw something of this grandeur. The other one, the last one that I did, there was a whale. The whale energy came in, and it was like we were journeying with the whales. It was that same thing where you just got taken into this unity, and the person I was working with was feeling it too. She was feeling she's like, it's like we were in this rolling energy, and both of our minds got unplugged when we were saying goodbye. We were just like, we're still there. We don't have words, so this type of thing in different ways has been showing up the last 3 sessions that I've done. But with my daughter was the first. So it was this diamond heart, and it held everything all at once. And it was just this profound neutrality. I don't even really have words for it. It was life-changing, really, to experience that. Okay. So there was the unity, everything all at once, kind of the the mind of God, really. There were synchronicities with that afterwards as well, where these two people that I was watching were talking about the same thing, and they were perceiving it in different ways. They each had different language. They each had kind of a different thing for it. But around that same time, there was this glimpse into unity in a way that wasn't there before. A real visceral, palpable communication merged with this unity mind of God principle. And so that was the words that they were using, along with, they were talking about the same thing I was experiencing, where all these different facets were sort of, because the way I was describing it to my daughter, okay, as we started to come down in density, down more out of that one mind unified space, the individuation was starting to separate out to be seen. Okay. So they were all there. It was like all like, like that, where it was like, oh my God, and it was kind of like they're contradicting each other, which was what they were saying in that podcast that I listened to as well. The contradiction where you can't wrap your mind around it, because it's everything. It's everything you could possibly imagine, all united together in unity. And you can only hold it you can only hold it in neutrality and in full acceptance when you allow it all together at once, because it looks different, right? And as it starts to separate out, you can be a little horrified at some of the things that you're seeing. And so of all the things that were there, light and dark and in between and all the things, there was one that emerged to be seen. And it was really dark. And it was something that my daughter and I have both seen before and interfaced with before through our own trials and initiations and activations, through our trek through the fourth dimension. As you start to expand in multidimensionality, you interface with a lot of things, right? And in the beginning, that can be feeling like psychic attack. It can scare you. It can be the goblins at the gate from that dimensional perspective, where you want to turn around and and not go forward anymore because you're seeing some really crazy shit, in this type of thing, and you can get, kicked up. It's a great opportunity for shadow work, because you have to be able to hold and find your light amidst all that intensity and not turn away. And, it's just this whole process, right? So as you get further along through those initiations, you can just see it. And you've already seen it before. You already know it can't harm you. You understand, that it's part of all that is, and you can just hold it in neutrality. So that's how it was in that moment. But the reason why, also, aside from being farther along in our initiations and our activations and our understanding and our building new neural pathways of strength and alignment with your divinity and all this, so that when something like that comes in, you just immediately are like, yep, you just know how to do it, that kind of thing. It's also related to the energy. So that portal that we moved through, and then of course the solstice portal that we were also merging into at that time, all of that, a higher light quotient on the planets is making this all easier. Okay, so it's easier for everybody, regardless of the amount of dark trials and hell dives you've done, for everybody, it's getting easier now, which is wonderful. And for those of you that carved the way and lit those lanterns in the dark, it's worked, it's working, it's all unfolding now. And so anyway, that's how I was describing it to her, that there was this timeline, and I told her what it was, and she had seen it before, and she told me, in my trials, they were showing me this type of thing all the time, and they were showing, and I mentioned this last time too, they would show her things to kind of torment and scare her, and jack her up and fragment her. But it's like she has me as mom, and I had gone through those things as well, so we just used it for alchemy and for timeline correction and all these things. Okay, so we were seeing it again, but this time we were seeing it in a very, very safe space together, not in our separate trials in the middle of the night trying to decode things for the first time. And it was all held within this wholeness of this diamond heart. Okay, and so at the same time, like I said, I was really in the midst of what I realize now is clearing a lot of that type of stuff. So I'll just share with you what it is. Some of you will relate to this. Some of you will be like, oh God, it might be an introduction to the dark side, but it was this dismemberment. It was like severed body parts, legs. And so I had seen this before when I was having an activation and a remembrance of what for me was connected to the breeder programs through my galactic history, which also played out in this lifetime. If you have it far back, you have programs running and you'll play it out again. But again, it's also part of how you're correcting those timelines and the soul contracts that you're assigned to at this point in the shift of the ages. So that would be my ex-husband and my children, so there was that aspect of breeding again with a darker lineage and genetics, right? And then my kids playing out this darkness and me having to hold space for it and learn not to reject it, learn not to recoil from it, learn not to feel shame, learn not to feel terror, and all the things that was part of the journey, and being at this place now where I can hold it in complete and utter acceptance, neutrality, knowing that it's all facets of the diamond of all that is, and that it all has its place in the grand scheme and symphony of the cycle of the ages and the descension and ascension. And where we're at in this ascension cycle is we're harmonizing everything back in and having it come back in. So a lot of us, if you're working on that level from that angle, are going to be having some of this stuff coming up, probably not for the first time, right? So yeah, I was seeing for me, it's like, it's horrible, but I just feel guided to say this. I wasn't going to say it, but I feel guided to. So it was because it connects to the children and what I was seeing. So it's like severed baby and child body parts. And for me, it came through in a dream where I was in a bed with these body parts, and there was a woman standing on the bed. And I knew that she was connected to the atrocities that were happening. I also knew that she was connected to me. It's like she was a part of my soul that got fractured and fragmented off. I was engaging, I've mentioned this many times, but there's always new people. I was engaging in a connection with a man. This is when the Orion thing was coming on for me, where I was like, what's going on? I'm feeling this energy that I can't quite connect to. I don't know what it is. It's because an aspect of my soul was fragmented off and locked in a door and I couldn't see it. So I unlocked all of that with him. It was a really powerful time for me. That was just for that purpose, just to have that soul retrieval. And so I came into, through my dreams, and there were all these synchronicities with other people that were helping me to Scooby-Doo my way through this, to unpack all this, and then later having it all validated and confirmed outwardly through the Ascension Diaries and other Ascension Glossary, the Ascension Glossary, Lisa Renee, and all these other things. So it just changed everything for me. 2 readings ago, when I was clearing, when I had this deep compression in my body, I was also talking about the triggers that were coming up for me in my hologram around like lust and seduction, which is also connected to the breeder programs. Okay, so for me, that was a lot that was clearing, and it was clearing on levels that I couldn't even track. Okay, so that coming up again with my daughter. With my son, it was something completely different. I was a few days later, it was the day of the solstice. The night of the solstice, I was down, him and I spent solstice together. And I was down in the desert house with him. Now he's also going through this huge awakening and this huge shedding of all this old stuff, all of it, like all of us, right? We're doing this. But for him, it's like, it's just insane. I mean, he has snail totem. That's always been his totem. Like when he was young, he crawled forever. We didn't think he was ever going to walk, and he would like crawl diagonal. Like one day I've told this story before, but he would crawl diagonal and back and forth and, around in circles. We were like, what the fuck is he doing? And the next day he just like got up and was walking and running and jumping. It's like, and that's kind of how he does things. Like he's Cancer, and so the water, you'll go into every little nook and cranny that you can possibly go in. This is how he plays video games and how he does everything in life. Like he'll explore every little thing, and then once he knows everything, he has this huge network platform that he can just like jump off of very, very easily. And so he's doing that now in his ascension process, and it's really mind-blowing, but also not, because it's how he does things, and I knew this would happen at some point. And so anyway, I'm at his house, and I'm in the sleep space, and it's not a dream. It's like I'm being shown like an alternate reality or a holographic And I've seen this type of thing with him before. It was completely different than what I see with my daughter or what I see in myself. He has his own thing. And when I first saw it, like I said before, it was really kind of uncomfortable. And even as I was seeing it this time in the sleep space, and I was being shown it, like, here it is. There was all this neutrality. There were like these guides, and I couldn't tell if they were positive or negative. There was just so much neutrality. But at the same time that I was being shown it, this one I'm not feeling guided to share. The same time that I was being shown it, I was also being very, very, very held in what I would say now was like that diamond heart energy, that unity, that unified field. So what I understood right away, and I'm getting chills, was just that I had to just stay neutral, not recoil, not react. I was uncomfortable, but to be accepting of the uncomfortability as well, and to just stay awake, right? Stay awake. It's like a sunrise. If you turn your light away from it, then it stays in the dark. But if you turn your light on it, then there's just no more darkness, and the dark and the shadow dissolves. Okay, and so that's the thing in this journey. It's like a lot of the times what's happening in a natural ascension is that which has been dark and hidden and unseen is seen, and it rises to the surface and it dissolves. But what's happening, because the darkness has also hijacked us, is as it's starting to rise, it's triggering, part of this process is that it's triggering our traumas, it's triggering, these seeds, these codes inside of ourselves that have been dormant, that are covered up and avoided because they're too painful. It's like starting to unearth that. So that's then kicking off the nervous system, and then you can have body symptoms, and then you think you're you know what I mean? It's just this like shit show of awakening. Right? And this whole process where you have to go through all of that, clearing the fear programs, clearing the lack of limitation, clearing all the programs and the conditioning that scares us away from the very natural process of ascension, which is the dissolution of that which has been dark and hidden inside of us and in our world. So that's where we're at right now. So, and there's a quickening to this. So again, where you might have been able to be like, oh, hell no, I don't want to look at any of that. I just want to be over here in my false light, my love and light here thing over here. It's like, it's just not possible anymore. And so it's going to be coming up. It's going to be coming up within us. It's going to be coming up within our world. And so, again, and I've talked about this a lot in a lot of different ways. It's just, there's a new level of clarity and illumination right now. So it's like just embracing it and knowing that it's a natural part of the process, and being able to, just like I was shown in those two visions, it's like being able to hold the unified field and your light at the same time that the darkness is coming up, just knowing that it's coming up just to be seen and held, to not take it personal. If you need to do some shadow work around it. I feel like I'm cutting off my head and it's making me want to slouch. I'm just going to raise this a little bit because it's throwing me off. Okay, there, now I'm crooked. Let's get it right here. Oh, that's the other thing, is that I'm feeling all of this like correction energy. So I will finish that thought if it comes back. There's probably more to say around that. But little things like in the 3D realm. So that's like the deep astral, like in the middle of the night or deep in a quantum session, all this, that's, another fractal of this energy. But in the 3D, for example, I was making an appointment for my son, and I had to go around like 5 different people's schedules, like travel plans and distance, and and then of course the dental, all the things. There were like 5 different people schedules that I had to work around, and I was doing my best to like, look at the calendar and remember this and remember that, and then I thought I got it right, and then it wasn't right, and I had to call back and do it all over again, and then even when it was done, like certain people weren't happy about it and all that, and so it was just this like, I feel like I'm yelling. I feel like I'm yelling. That's okay. It was like this like convoluted process that I had to see through to its fruition. I couldn't just, it's actually the same thing with the darkness. It's like the darkness is uncomfortable. It has, weird, satanic, like negative alien signatures all over it. You just want to turn away from it. You just want to say, no, forget it. I'm just not going to do this. But you have to do it. You have to do it to come into true unity and true light and true wholeness and true co-creation. And the light is so bright right now. It's just not allowing any of those shadows to happen. So you got to go the whole way through. So it was the same thing in the 3D with this appointment. Like I couldn't just abandon it and be like, forget it. This is too hard. I don't feel like doing this. I had to do it and see it through to its fruition. And then we all had to sort of accept like, some of the consequences of not being able to do this because now this appointment's falling here and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that, but it was uncomfortable. And then there were other things like that, like many things like that in the 3D. And even, like 2 mornings in a row, we had to get up really early because we had appointments or we had a visitor. And then like my morning routine, like I've mentioned this before, like it's hard for me to ground. I'm very, I'm out here. And so I have to be very, I've learned to sort of work into my day things that ground me. Like I have a morning routine and, and I have this, I drink this lemon water to support my liver and hydrate my body. And then I sit out with the sun with my feet on the earth. And then I have this smoothie with, I do all these like superfoods. And then I do this tea, this Ayurvedic tea. It's just like, it's part of my day. Like how I've said this before, like you're in a body, we're taking care of the body and like, okay, we're coming out of the astral, we're grounding, all this. And so 2 mornings in a row, I could do some of those things, but I wasn't able to do all those things. So I was sort of thrown off, right? And that's the other thing when you're doing huge recalibration and things are dislodging and new things are coming in. It's really helpful in life. What you might notice is life will throw things at you that shake you up and shake out your rote behavior, even if it's very helpful for you normally. It's like, okay, now the highest situation is for you to be like all discombobulated, so that this rearranging, this reconfiguration can happen, and so it just feels like that, and whatever needs to happen to get you in position for this. And so I see this in sessions a lot when somebody does a really big clearing, which is what we've done, whether we're aware of it or not. We've done some of these really deep, ancient, dark things that go back to our galactic timelines. There's going to be fragments and threads of them in this lifetime. They're going to be the things that we can't see, or if we have seen, they've been really hard to clear the whole way. It's taken a lot of assistance from the light and the energy, that's and just going along with the ascension, the shifting process, the evolutionary process. You can't rush these things, right? Okay. But this last one through that portal being a really, really huge one for this. Now on the other side of this clearing, right? So in sessions, when somebody clears something really huge like that, there's always a reconfiguration through the polarities in the body, and it'll it's kind of like, the whole way down the body on both sides, where everything is just like chiropractic, just like, like just getting things shaken off and then reoriented, and then there might be another clearing and then another reorientation. Okay, so this is happening for us all within our bodies and within our lives. It's playing out in the 3D in our lives. It's playing out in the dream space, in the astral. It's all the same thing. It's just playing out on all these different levels. You can see it everywhere. It's just fractals of the same thing. So I understand now why I was picking up on that with the children, because this is the very energy that preys on the innocent and on the children, because it's a feeding system it feels that it's separate, even though it's not separate from all that is. It's separated itself out so much that nobody has seen it, it was able to fester there in the dark. It didn't have its connection to its own source consciousness, so it had to feed on others. The innocent, the children are the juiciest food for them, or the light workers like us, being attacked and being, a lot of us know this, right? But just feeling guided to say this, being attacked, being siphoned off of, being poked and prodded, to like my daughter and I with these images, trying to scare us, trying to throw you off so that it can feed and get something from you, from that loosh, from that fear, from that anxiety, that nervous system thing that's going on for a really long time. A lot of us, through the assistance of these energies and where we're at now in our evolution and the ascension process, are up leveling to a point where the game is no longer building your strength and your neural pathways to your divinity to up level. We have up leveled, okay? Now the game is just allowing these things to clear off. It's like for a lot of us, and if that's not you yet, it will be soon, because it's exponentially expanding. Everything is just very, very fast track right now. Fast track recalibration. Everybody's up leveling. The more people that reach into these mastery levels, the easier it is for other people that are on. It's like we're not assisting people anymore by overextending ourselves and overgiving and draining ourselves and all this. we're helping people by stabilizing in this field. These orders came in a while ago, right? And so now that we're stabilizing in this field, that emanation, that transmission is what's helping people just in the etheric field, and it's making it easier for them, it's making it easier for other people. So if you are one of those people that are struggling, it's like so again, it's kind of like me with my daughter with the diamond heart, and feeling very held in that unity, or that night where I got that information from my son. So there is a little bit more that I feel to say, and that is, if you are somebody that's connected to the breeder programs and that has played that out in this life, and that would just look like, you have programs running, you have tags that, and soul contracts is another way of saying it, where you pair up with somebody of a lineage and a genetic that's not actually a match to you, right? That's not actually somebody you would normally mate with and have children with, but you do it, we could say, from one perspective because of what's happened in the past, and you're just kind of replaying out that trauma. But at this point in human evolution, it's connected to correcting those timelines. And so you're paired up with somebody from that past, like for me with that, my marriage, obviously, but also that man that helped me unlock those memories. I had to go into that, even though he's not somebody I would normally be with by any stretch of the imagination. I was guided into that to help unlock that, okay? That at a time where I'm now able to hold space for and understand and witness what's coming up for my children, because they're part of that genetic line where the darkness is, it just seeps through. It seeps through. It's just like a parallel timeline that you can feel in their field. And so that's what I've been feeling. It's just hybridization, the hybridization. There's a lot of light, there's a lot of dark. It's part of what a lot of people are going through. A lot of souls have signed up for, starting at the very beginning, where they started with the hijack and the perpetration and the infiltration of their own life path, right? As it's a lot. It's a lot. But and then going on down all through the dark age and all the things that we've experienced, coming back up, we're weaving it all together. We needed this experience to be able to do what we're doing right now, right? They're kind of on the same level. So we're passing through those memories and those glimpses again. So if you are having nightmares, or and again, if you would like support and you would like to work together, the sessions are getting so deep, and we're getting to unplugging a lot of this darkness. There was one woman I was working with, and I was like, oh God, I don't know if she's gonna come back, where there was just a lot of the dark things, and a lot of it she didn't know about, but I just had to say it, and I was like, well, it is what it is. And then she did come back, and she was able to clear and a lot of what could be grouped in maybe distancing your power, or sort of like energy leaks or addiction type energies. It was mild, but it's still something that caps your energy and your divinity. After we did that clearing, she was able to clear, to stop doing those things effortlessly, which is what I'm also seeing with my kids and other people around me. A lot of letting go of the crutches, or letting go of the addictions. Those addictions, substances can have, entities and dark holes and trapping systems in them, right? So, but a lot moving, and then it was in that next session, in the sessions now that we're starting to come into that unified field, we're getting all the pieces back. So anyway, a lot of powerful things happening if you would like support. But so so hold on, let me collect myself. So the moving through of the darkness, at this point, these things are coming up because they're just dissolving, and they're clearing in the light of a consciousness that's holding neutral, whether that's you for yourself or somebody else that's assisting you, like me for my son, or somebody in working with you in energy work or massage or whatever it is, somebody in your life that's holding space for you, or you for them, just through their energy field, just through the transmissions that they hold in climbing that ladder of their DNA and doing this shadow work and doing this inner work and coming into this level where being able to just hold steady. These things, again, it's like the sunrise, the sun comes and all the shadows are illuminated, and then they're not dark anymore, right? So it's just dissolving. That's the energy right now. So in that last session, it was talking about the end of the cycle of suffering and into this enchantment, because we're no longer we're moving more and more into this, if you haven't already, no longer rejecting, resisting, judging, taking personal the darkness when it comes up, but just knowing it's the natural process of what's happening right now amidst all of this light that it's coming up, whether it's in our bodies, whether it's an emotion, whether it's in a visual, or whether it's just an energy that you're feeling. It's stuff that's leaving. It's stuff that's leaving and dissolving in the light that you're anchoring and embodying, and that's activating within you, that you're transmitting. It just can't stay anymore. So it's all really good news. But I imagine that most of us are feeling a new level of being held while we're doing these passages. This has been going on for a little while. I know a lot of us have been talking about that, feeling like it's easier now. Like I just, even though I'm going through this, I feel it's okay, or I can feel, but lately, like since that portal, it's like the perfection of all that is. That energetic signature is so loud. It's so loud that no matter what is going on, you really can't be all that upset about it, because like God's over here just smiling, in your corner. It's like the sun, the sun with a big smiley face on it, where you're just like, gosh, this is amazing, so there's that enchantment. So feeling that already so profoundly. How long did I talk for? 34 minutes. There is more, but I think I am going to jump into the cards right now and just kind of let them guide the rest of the way. Wow. Bring a gentle touch, dear spirit. That's interesting, because the other day I was driving up, and I posted this on Facebook. My daughter had an appointment. It was one of those early appointments, and I had 45 minutes to kill, and I was like, oh, well, we're near the forest. I'll just drive up towards the forest. And I saw this deer carcass and all these buzzards, like more buzzards than I've ever seen that up close. It was really amazing. And so, but there was something, symbolism with the vultures, the turkey buzzard, the turkey vultures, and this message of nothing is ever wasted, again, that full circle where, didn't I even mention? I mentioned the vulture in the last reading because of the circle where it's like nothing's ever wasted. And so here it is again, like with the diamond, where it's like everything has its place. If you separate it out, and you look at it separate from the whole, you can be like, oh my God, that's horrible, and how shameful, and now you hate yourself, or you reject that person and you throw it over there and you lock it away, where, okay. So again, but when you put all those fractals together, they all make sense, so it's like nothing is ever an aberration. Nothing is ever not a part of the whole and all that is. And so, but there was that deer, again, the innocent, you're looking at the innocent being devoured, and it's dying, and the stench and the whatever. And yet there's a perfection in that. So there's another message of the innocence, and yet it's part of the natural cycle of things. Not that we're okay with it, not that I'm sympathizing with it, or saying that it's okay, right? Or that it should happen, but it did happen. It is happening, and therefore it's part of the whole, and it's part of what we're unraveling. So there's just this profound acceptance in that, and the gentleness as you interface with these energies in the world, or in yourself, or in other people, or other people playing out their darkness, knowing that it's just, we talk about this all the time in the readings, is just where we're at. All of this stuff needs to come up and out, and it needs to be held gently. It needs to be held in love and acceptance. Again, it's that divine feminine energy where everything is welcome back home. Nothing is rejected. Nobody is outcast. If it wants to come home, it comes home. If it's still over there hiding in the dark, well, it's not ready yet. But once it becomes visible, it's because it's ready to come back home. So you just, you allow it to move through in whatever energy body it's moving through, whether it's your mental or your emotional or your physical or your there's the blue jay. I think the blue jays, I don't know how long it takes for eggs to hatch, but I'm hearing a lot of like little noises, and the blue jays are here. Like I kind of feel like they're in their nest, and that they're being fed. It's interesting. Anyway, I haven't seen them in a while. I think they've been nesting, and now they're out like feeding. Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, but allowing all of this, and again, the blue jays representing that as above, so below, that hermetic principle where it's all okay, so to be gentle with yourself and others as we move through this process. Yeah, okay. let's see what else. I was going to say, I hope that made sense, because there were a lot of things coming in at once, but whenever I listen, it does make sense, especially if you're listening through your heart and you're listening through that unified quantum space that I know a lot of us are reading the symbols and allowing them to speak in that whole package way. Yeah. The Emperor, yeah. So that, a lot about that empowerment, again, being in that light, being in your sovereignty, and just and just that's just confirming, allowing that to come through, no matter what the message is, no matter what the history has been, no matter what you're seeing, just being gentle, being in your power. The other thing about the deer, in like the Native American traditions, they talk about the sacred mountain, and how there was like a demon that it's, again, the goblin at the gate, that tries to stop people from going up the sacred mountain. And people would, it's just such a perfect analogy. I didn't think of this, but I am now. But they come up to go up the sacred mountain. So there's been all these synchronicities with the mountains and the crystal placements that I've been doing, and on the top of the mountain. And so many other people were bringing in all these synchronicities with the mountain, and then relating to the apex and the mastery level. Okay, so that's all there. So climbing up the mountain, climbing up the DNA ladder, climbing up your ascension process to the mountaintop. And yet there are goblins at the gate that try to scare you off and turn you around. So this is some of the timelines that I'm talking about, some of the things that are leaking through. It's not even really goblins or anything trying to do anything to you, although from a certain level, from a certain dimensional perspective, before you climb up in frequency above that, it looks like that, it feels like that, and that is how it is at that point in the journey. But then at another point, you're moving through these densities, and these densities are showing up because you have so much light. And as you're walking towards your apex, I always talk about this as an apex energy in the tarot, as you're walking towards, especially in this deck, as you're walking towards your apex, your light is so bright and getting so much brighter that it's kicking up the darkness. Even if it's darkness in the world and the others, that's still just a reflection of you. Everything is you. It's a house of mirrors, so all of this is coming up within you, or coming up outside of you, which is a reflection of what's within you, right? And so the point is like I said, it's a natural process. You just walk, and your light dissolves it as you go. It's when we, and the nervous system goes, and oh no, and then we project, and then we, oh no, it's that, and it's this person. If you realize it's all just your own personal sunrise into your sovereignty, then you can gently walk through. But so the deer in that story, in that native story, is that all the other creatures would go and they'd get scared and they'd run away and they'd never make it up the sacred mountain. But the deer, in its innocence, with its big eyes, you know how when you see a deer, it just turns and it just looks at you. It's like, it just stares and it just looks like it's not afraid. Like eventually, if you get too close, it'll run off, and eventually it'll kind of be like, you'll kind of just be like, well, okay, we've had our moment here, and you move and it moves, but it doesn't run, even though it's a prey animal. It's not a predator, and yet it's not afraid. It's not afraid, and that's the story where the deer goes and it just, I can't remember exactly what it is, what the story is, but it's something. So the gist of it goes, and it's not afraid of the monster, and the monster's like, oh, and then isn't it like that, when you feel like you're under psychic attack, and you hold steady, and then it's like David Bowie in the Labyrinth, like it keeps flipping you figure out, oh, this stair doesn't go anywhere, so you come back down, and then he changes it again. They keep changing the attack, and so a lot of us have done that, where you figure out one path, one area of darkness, and okay, I got it, and then it comes in another form, right, where we clean up all these areas. We've been doing this for oh my God, for so long, the last, really since 2020 is really when collectively it kicked up, and a lot of the programs that came in, and the frequencies and the rogue signals and the fear programs, literally, but everything backfires, because everything, again, is part of that diamond heart, where it's all a different fractal of the whole. So it's never really going to take you anywhere but back to here as we climb that mountain, right? So it's all in service, always saying that everything's in service to the light. But so the deer, no matter how many times it changed forms, no matter how many times it tried to scare it off, it just wasn't afraid. And finally the demon was like, why aren't you afraid? I think it literally asked him, why aren't you afraid? And the deer just had this gentle, acceptance of all it is. It's like, well, you're part of God too. You're part of this too, and so the demon just dissolved. It's the perfect story. I love that we got this as our overall energy along with this. Oh my God. And so, you're just walking up the mountain, you're walking up to your apex, to your sovereignty, and all the darkness that's coming up. Just keep walking, and embrace it with neutrality, embrace it with acceptance, because it's again, in that diamond heart of all that is in the mind of God. Everything exists here. Everything that exists is part of it. It's part of it. Nothing is separate unless we don't look at it and we sequester it out, or unless it creates patterns, us and them, the fractal of us that creates all this conditioning, the conditioning in our world that turns us away from this, or plugs us into the lack and limitation and fear and victim, and keeps us in entrainment with the dark, being dark ourselves, rather than withdrawing from that, right? And allowing our light to illuminate. That's where we are right now. We're withdrawing, we're unplugging from the programs. A lot of us have been working on unplugging from the fear programs for a long time, especially heightened since the 2020 year, maybe a year or two after that, right? Getting to this point where you're just standing in this and everything's dissolving around you. That's the energy that we're in right now. Again, the 4 is the number of stability. So stabilizing the new earth templates. That's what those of us in this energy are doing, all right? Being that lighthouse, that illumination, that sunrise for all of the darkness and that's rising, that's being dissolved in that energy, in that energy. This is a 9, 8, and 1 adding up to a 9. So there's a little bit of that perseverance, keep going energy, keep climbing up that mountain. Don't turn around. This is where you're going, and you cannot fail. As long as you keep going and you don't turn around and you don't let yourself get scared, just keep going and believing in that light and in your power, no matter how innocent or preyed upon you feel. There is everyone comes home to God, right? We just have to keep going. And so that's the thing, again, with the children and the innocent as well. No matter what darkness you've been through, no matter what genetics or codex you have that leaks through, that's hijacked your path, or how bad it's gotten over the eons, this is a time when everything is dissolving and coming back home. So I realize now what I was picking up on as the children, because the children are the innocent that's had it the worst. Those that have been targeted and have been part of these rituals and part of this feeding and part of the abductions and part of all these things are coming back home to God as well. Just like my children, there were times where I thought, I don't know, I guess that's it. I guess it's like, I'm just going to be, this is my life, just kind of holding space for this. And I just have to accept that they might not ever come around, and I need to be okay with that, but that acceptance that I got to, that supreme acceptance of all that is part of what helped shift the energy, where I was in this energy of acceptance, and I could transmute and hold space even more, right? So all of that acceptance, that surrender, but everybody's coming home. Everybody's coming home. Everybody that's how it's coming through. Everybody's coming home. Everybody that's a buddy, everybody that's a soul, everybody that's here for this ascension. Everybody that everybody in your hologram. Yeah, there's something with that. That's the next one. That's the next piece that we'll probably unpack in the next reading. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so let's get another card here. Where are we at? 46 minutes. Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So the 4 of Cups. So the 4 of Cups is kind of a card of like, it has a bit of that lack and limitation energy. It's not the 5 of Pentacles, which is I can't have, I'll never have. This is sort of like, I don't have, I'm focusing on the loss, but meanwhile, there's all this gorgeous rainbow light body coming into this other cup that I forgot I had. This is the divinity. This is the cup are connecting to, I've been talking about the water, the primal water, the spider web, the silky web, the thread, that which cannot be destroyed or broken. Again, it's like everybody comes home, everybody that has a soul, everybody that is a real human is what I want to say, has this cup and cannot lose this cup and cannot lose this ascension pathway. It's just a matter of getting out of this mindset of I don't have, I can't have, I won't have, all I've ever done was lose, look at everything that I've lost. You're focusing on what you're losing, you're focusing on what's not working out. It's not working out because it's not the fullest expression of you. It's not your true tone. So the day when I saw the deer and the buzzards and I was waiting for her, I was like, oh, I'm going to turn around and go back and see some more because that's so beautiful. I don't know. I just thought it was beautiful. And I was slowing down and I was sort of contemplating, should I turn around? I'm driving. And then I was like, oh, well, here's a turn. And I look and it's Wendy Road. And so I was like, I've driven down Wendy Road because I know somebody that lives down there. But it was dark and, it was just, I was going somewhere. Anyway, it was the first time in 18 years that I was like, I'm going to drive down Wendy Road because I had time to kill, right? Kind of like what are the odds that in my hologram, there's a road in my town called Wendy Road, and right off of Wendy Road is this mountain, and on the mountain is a big W. We have Western University here, so some people are saying, oh, it's, for Western, but it's also off of Wendy Road, so I call it my mountain, And so I was just sort of in this like, oh my gosh, none of this is real, everything's a hologram. Again, it's all a reflection of us, it's all this house of mirrors, and like, let's play that game well. And when we know that none of this is really real, it's like everything that I've been talking about. It's the shedding of the lack, and it's a shedding of the program. It's a shedding of that which has created a separation. Consciousness created itself as separate to scare you away from the sacred mountain of your own enlightenment, your own unity consciousness, your own diamond heart of embracing all that is. Again, the diamond heart of all the facets being included is how you get back to this, right? Not allowing the illusion of a separation and loss and lack, and like none of this is really real. It's all just the house of mirrors, and to move through it gracefully as this. One of the cards that I pulled for my son when I was tuning into him, where I was just like, oh my God, it's amazing what's happening. It was in my shaman deck, and it was the rainbow. It was like the rainbow lightning or rainbow bridge or something like that. It was super shamanic, where it was like this energy that just comes in and swoops you up, where that's what's happening right now. It's like we're being swooped up, we're being caught by our rainbow light bodies, and everything that's not a match to it. It's like it would be us, and this is over top of her. The reality of right now is it's not behind us, it's over top of us, and we're being infused with it. And so it's that enchantment again, where it's clearing everything off. It's clearing off all of these things, right? But there is a little bit of a mindset thing where that programming and that addiction, the strong neural pathway of, well, it's not going to happen for me, or even like it's not going to happen for my children. I guess this is it. That's kind of the energy that I was in. Okay, I just said that, where I was like, well, I guess I have to accept that fate. But in accepting it, I was able to get into this neutrality where I wasn't feeling sorry for myself or me or anyone. Again, it was just radical acceptance, where that puts you into this energy, right? So that acceptance of what is, rather than regret and moping and, oh, poor me, and, like this kind of thing. It's like if you're in one of these, just accept it and be grateful for it, because it is part of your rainbow infusion. It is part of your ascension journey. So a huge message of that, but also a message of this is the reality. The reality is that your cup is filling in. You just can't see it yet. So a little bit of a reminder for those of you that might not be feeling this energy. This is what's going on for you. It just doesn't feel it like that, because when you're clearing the density and it's coming up and things are falling apart and your day's getting all wonky and your nervous system's going off and nothing's working out. My daughter and I yesterday, we were going to go to the river. We had plans to go to the river, and I was feeling overwhelmed because we had a very early visitor. It was actually her dad. He came very early in the morning because he had an appointment up here in town, and we hung out, and and we went about the day. But I was getting a little tweaked by his energy. Not tweaked, not like a trigger. It was just more like I just wasn't in the mood for it. I was like, I didn't get my grounding. I didn't get my sun, and it's fine. This is what we're doing. Again, radical acceptance. But it was just kind of like, it was like these little irritations. And so my daughter and I, we were like, well, afterwards we were going to go to the river, and we got in this fight. And part of it was because I was all jostled up, and I wasn't feeling grounded, and I was this and that. Well, she was feeling the same way, and she was troubled by something. So we both had some cups going on here, and we got in this this argument. So think about my daughter and I is we have the same PTSD from the same situation. We separately, I went through it and then she went through it when we were separated, but it's the same energetic pattern and trauma that we went through. It's the same patterning of energy. So her and I both play that out. We play it out together. We trigger each other. Not a lot, but we've been living together full time for the last 2.5 years. And there have been times where we've really, especially when she was going through her trial, her darkness trial, it was like there was a lot of interference that, there's a lot to it as well. And I know a lot of you have experienced this journey with your own daughters where if you're a targeted individual, there's a lot about separating the kids or separating the kids, but the daughter from their mother, like the just interfering with the mother principle, the unity principle, that which brings everything back home. There's a real, again, it's part of the programming, but it's also what we're unraveling within ourselves. So it's both, it's fractals, right? But a lot that was trying to separate us for a very long time, including the energy that moved through her father at that time. Again, we're all unified now. We're all on the next level. We're in this energy. But yeah, so there was a lot of that. And so her and I would trigger each other, which was part of the plan as well, the higher plan, because we would go into PTSD. And what I had said to her many times was, if you weren't my daughter, if somebody else was treating me this way, or if we had a dynamic like this, they would be out. They would be out. They would have zero access to my energy. And yet I had to stay in it. Again, go to the top of the mountain. Don't turn around. Stay in it. There's a lot of people that it is the correct action to have a boundary and to say no and to step away from. But when it comes to soul contracts and things where you're literally repairing galactic timelines and genetics and all of this, there's going to be that beloved daughter or that beloved son, but in this case it's her, that you cannot turn away from. So you have to persevere, just like in the small way with that appointment, where I had to get the appointment, it's a little bit, again, like I was saying, it's the same energy. So we had to stay with it. I couldn't kick her out, even though I wanted to. There were times I wanted to kick her out. I couldn't kick her out, and of course. And so, her and I are on mission together. That's part of our contract as well. We've been doing this for eons, and we've seen that before. Her and I used to really do a lot of template building together. We would channel together and all this. And then when she went through her dark trial, and I mentioned this, it was rough, but it was still service. It was still mission. It was still healing. It was just, she was playing the dark catalyst for me. Okay. And so we would both go into PTSD, and there was positive things in that, because there would be emotions that were felt, there would be memories that would resurface that had been stuffed away. There was a lot of unearthing, but there was a lot of trauma and a lot of upheaval, and for me it was affecting my biology, and I was having really, really heavy periods. Like I thought I was gonna bleed out and die, but that was positive as well, because I saw it. I got the message that I needed, the ways that I needed to clean up and have different boundaries, and all this has just been like so amazing and like heart-wrenching, and the mud and the blood, and oh my God, but it's been so fucking profound. And like getting down to the very, very bottom, again, this theme of getting to the very, very bottom of these ancient galactic genetic hybridization, breeder program, weird sub-realities of distortion and that kind of thing. Getting into that energy, not always in the moment cognizant of it, but getting into that energy and unplugging it and sitting with it and getting more and more comfortable with it, where you're not stuffing it, you're not turning it away, you're not kicking out everybody around you that has even some semblance of that energy to it. Whew, having to stare that demon right in the eye, because it's your demon too, right? And so yesterday, I did not go into PTSD. I had gotten far enough along with my boundaries and the things that I had realized that I just mentioned, where I did not go into PTSD, and she was, and I was able to hold space for her, and I was able to see what was going on, because before we'd both be triggered. You're PTSD, you're reacting in ways that are blown out of proportion to what's actually going on. You're back in the original trauma. All you care about is self-protection. Your nervous system's going, all that affects the body systems. Oh my God. This time, no, I didn't go there. I was able to hold space. And because one of us was holding the light, and she was better too, but she was in it a little bit, one of us was holding the light, we were able to see to the root, to what was really going on. And also to be able to see that this was a huge opportunity, and it was like magic. It was the enchantment. Like afterwards we were both just like, oh my God, you know, and it's really interesting because we were at the co-op and she's going to get a sandwich for herself, and she leans in the window and she's like, this is like, we're going crazy. Like we're going crazy. Like we're crazy, you know? And I knew what she meant, because when you're used to this type of energy, you know, when you start to tap into this, you can feel like you're like in crazy town, because there's so much liberation, there's so much magic, and there's just no plugs to the matrix, which has been our, you know, our previous stability. It's like, no, we're stabilizing in this, and it feels like crazy town, you know, so it was cute. But as we were driving to the river, I was feeling all this, like, I felt it in that massage that I had recently too, when she was releasing my lower back. It's connected to the sacral and the root, the neck, you know, they're connected, I realized, because when she was on my lower back, I was feeling this rain in my neck, this rain of release. And so my daughter, we were driving, I was like, oh my God, Erme, I feel all this release in my neck. It feels like rain. And she said, when she was, right before she leaned in and was like, we're like crazy now, she had seen this vision of like a level, and then there was like a waterfall that went down. So it's like this, you know, like the neck. And so we were really journeying, like her and I do, in that visionary space, and you know, like a lot of us do, right? In that with the symbols and the visuals and all this. So sharing all of this major codes and transmissions in this, connecting to however it connects in your life, you're going to feel it in the energy. Okay. Alrighty then. So this type of energy flooding in after that that conflict that her and I had, but again, not being in the PTSD. And why? Because the energy, again, is another example of being really held. So there's that diamond heart energy again, and seeing, separating out into, here we were in one of the facets, and it looked ugly, and it connected to all these other little facets and little networks of growth, you know, and yet, but we were able to hold it. We were able to hold it in all that is, hold it in all that is, and it got dissolved and released. My notification's going off. It's distracting me, but I forgot to turn them off again. Okay, so and the clearing, and the clearing. Yes, being able to maneuver in situations like that. I imagine so many of you are feeling this as well, where you're like, where I was like, oh my God. Like, I did not go into PTSD, and we freaking cleared this together. We decoded the whole thing, and we apologized in ways we could never apologize before, because we were too busy trying to protect ourselves, and all of this, and just being like, oh my freaking God. And it just happens out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden you're just like, I maneuvered through that. I just like walked across a tight rope wire. Like I did cartwheels over it. Like, how did I do that? How did I do that? It's because the energies are so supportive right now. And in that up leveling that we did through that 6/6 portal and through the solstice portal and everything that's going on, there's also huge changes going on the earth. And we've been talking about this for a while with the stargates and the grid work that a lot of us have been doing. Even if that grid work is just being called out into nature and connecting with your divine self in nature is grid work, because we are the crystals. Remember, we are the stargates when we get into this energy. And again, being in that gentle acceptance of all that is what puts us into this energy. So a lot of assistance going on through those of us that are getting into this energy with the earth, however that is, even if it's simply with your love affair, with your area and your nature and your altars in your yard, or your walks and your sun gazing and all these things, the love with the earth, the love with the waters, the love is assisting her. And then as we do that, it's assisting us, it's the symbiotic relationship, right? And so the activation and clearing of our energy center, same thing with her, where we have an emotional release or a trigger, that we move through. Same thing with the earth, with the volcanoes and the earthquakes. All right. So a lot of this reconfiguring as well. I'm over an hour now, so I am gonna wrap this up. Yes. Oh my God. So I pull cards for myself in the morning, and I did like more of a fuller reading today because I have time alone today. My daughter's away. Oh, that's the other thing. I'm fruit fasting today. And so that's another way that like I'm sort of like jostled. I've never done a reading when I've been just with the fruit, but all this like living food and, you know, all this. So it's like things are being different so that different things can come through and come in. So another example of that. But I did a full reading today and I had the Princess of Wands, the Page of Wands in 2 different decks. I got it twice. And so here it is again. And this is the card of a new adventure, you know, a new adventure. So we're moving into a new adventure now. As we come into this apex energy, going the whole way up to the top of the holy mountain, walking through the darkness that's appearing for us along the way, knowing that it's just shedding as our light gets bigger and bigger, as the sun gets brighter and brighter in the day, all the shadows are not visible. This kind of reminder here of like, that's what's going on. Like, this is indicating to me that a lot of people are in this energy of like, oh no, it's not happening for me, or I'm behind, or or hyper focusing on all the hard things that are happening. That reminder that it's all that we're actually in this energy. Again, it's not behind us, it's in us, and we're actually already in this new adventure. That's why all this stuff is kicking off and shedding and coming up, because we're in this. As we walk forward, it can't come with us. Okay, so it's like we're walking through a portal. We had that 11 energy last time where we were walking through a portal. I was talking about the eye of the needle. We're walking through that. We're in that eye of the needle. Some of us have walked through. Some of us are, you know, you're in it. It's tearing. It's like the snake, you know, we saw a snake on the way home yesterday. It's like it's tearing that shed off your body as you squeeze through. You know how snakes will sometimes go through the holes of fences, you know, or like to get, I had a shed. I think it disintegrated now, but it was a shed that I found through the hole of a fence with little circles, and the snake had gone right through, right? Okay. So that's that eye of that needle. That's what we're doing right now, because we're stepping into this new adventure. This is the enchantment that we got at the end of the last reading. We're here now. We're exiting. We're emerging and just trusting. And you can feel in the energy that this energy is really, really close by. That's that diamond heart energy. That's that unified field. That's that being held by all that is very, very close. It's making it easier. Why? Because we're stepping through that portal, stepping through the eye of the needle. We're moving into this energy, and this energy in this new adventure. This is all there is. You know, this is all there is. There's just transmutation. Yesterday when I was in the river, there's a certain part of the river that we go to, and not always. We just go wherever we're guided. And in it, I always feel guided to ask for messages. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm doing other things. But this one is always about the messages. And what I heard yesterday was, you are free now. And now it's time to create and be of service. And so, and that reminded me of my Wendy Road and my Wendy Mountain. And I was just like, I'm free. You know, I'm free. This is my hologram. I'm playing in it. It's all a playground. It's a reflection. Sometimes in that playground, there's, you know, some bully, you know, like really that smells and just is like kind of scary and has this like wacky energy and whatever, and that's okay. You know, it's like I'm in my lane and I'm in we're in our lane, and we're in our divinity. I've really wiggled the table. I'm crooked. That's okay. That's how the energy is too. It's like you're kind of a little bit wonky, so the light can get in. You know, get it a little crooked, throw you off your game. You know, like I'm not eating. I'm only eating fruit, and I'm a little whatever, or the day's out, right? A little crooked so the light gets in. But anyway, we stay in our lane and we do our service and we do what we're here meant to do. And the other people, wherever they're at, hi, there's my hand, wherever they're at, whatever timeline they're playing out is perfectly fine, because it all fits. It's all just another facet of the diamond, and everybody can be wherever they're at, and just honoring your path, honoring wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, because it's part of this the collective new adventure, but also your new adventure. I am going to pull one shaman card here, and then I will close out. Let's see what the last message wants to be. That's so beautiful. So the last card in the last reading was enchantment. The last card in this reading is magic, and that is number 33. Oh my God. So there's that Trinity number, even the triangle there around the 33, which is just how it is in this deck, but there it is in this hologram right now as we're doing this reading. And so the 33, the 1 + 1 = 3, the Trinity, the Mother, Father, and the Child, the co-creation energy, co-creating with Spirit, the 33rd parallel, as above, so below, the Blue Jays. Okay, there it is. We've been talking about the 33 for a while now. I know a lot of you are hooked up to that energy as well. In the tarot, the threes are about moving forward. It's about divine guidance. It's about protection. It's the hawk energy, being in the right place at the right time. It's interesting because we met this guy. We went to the coffee shop yesterday with my daughter and her dad, and we went, it was hot and there wasn't a lot of shade. So we went in this like room, this old Adobe building that somebody had built, and it was part of the coffee shop. And there was a young man in there, and we started talking. We all started talking, and we were all on the same page. We were all in this energy, like yeah, pretty much, we were in this telepathic network, at least him and my daughter and I, and my ex to his degree too. He has his own, he's doing his own thing, right? He's in his thing, but we were all in this thing here, and we were all having this conversation, and it was magical. And it was like we were finishing each other's sentences, and he was like, wow, it's rare that you meet people you can have conversations with like this, and it's like, yes, it's true, especially like in your town, like maybe on the internet, it's a little easier. And it was just like this like total magical moment. But he talked about the hawk, like the Herringer hawk, is that what it was? And he was saying, they're not like, they're solitary. They don't fly. And I mentioned hawk medicine. That's why I was saying that with the threes. But he was like, they don't fly in groups, but if they're going for a big hunt, they'll team up and they'll go together. And it was like that, like the rainbow warriors that are here to climb the whole way to the top of the mountain and to walk through into that sovereignty where we're 333 co-creating on the magic on this new earth, living the new adventure, the new earth template. See, everything comes together at the end. It comes together at the end. There's always big swoosh of transmission of all of it is weaving together. I know not everybody makes it towards the end, which is totally understandable because I talk a lot. 108. So there's that full circle energy. All that is, oh my God, that's that number of unity, the diamond heart number, 108. Oh, 109. Okay. So at any rate, banding together in that rainbow tribe we're solitary, we're kind of loners, we don't, a lot of us, you don't necessarily fit in, you don't really have a group, but it's like the group of introverts, the group of people doing this, coming together in support for a common cause, the big hunt in a way, like the hawks. So that's a really beautiful message to end on there. Hawks also representing being in the right place at the right time, being right on track, exactly where you need to be. So a little bit of a reminder that for those of you in this energy, or for the times when we get in that energy, right? So, all right, I'm going to close there because this is going on quite long. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining in consciousness. Please reach out if you feel guided to work together. I am working with several people kind of like regularly, and the sessions just keep getting deeper and deeper, and it's really wonderful. I love collaborating with people in that way and offering support. So keep that in mind if you would like to journey through this with another person. All right, feel free to reach out. I guess that's it. So I'll see you next time. And again, just enjoying your rise, remembering that bigger picture, remembering the truth of who you are, and just getting through this fast track. And also remembering that other people in your life are also coming on board as well. They might be walking their perfect path and allowing room for all of it, all the different facets of the diamond having its place. So, all right, much love to you all, and I'll see you next time if I do. Okay.